start. Credit unions are non-profit organizations that were imported to the United States from Germany in the early 1900s. They were regulated in 1934 by the Federal Credit Union Act, which limits membership to groups having a common bond of occupation or association. Groups from particular geographical areas also were eligible to join credit unions. Credit unions. Credit unions are non-profit organizations that were imported to the United States from Germany. Credit unions are non-profit organizations that were imported to the United States from Germany in the early 1900s. They were regulated in 1934 by the Federal Credit Union Act, which limits membership to groups having a common bond of occupation or association. Groups from particular geographical areas also were eligible to join credit unions. There are two main types of market research. Quantitative research involves collecting a lot of information by using techniques such as questionnaires and other forms of survey. Qualitative research involves working with smaller samples of consumers, often asking them to discuss products and services, while researchers take notes about what they have to say. There are two main types of market research. There are two main types. Quantitative research. There are two main types of market research. Quantitative research involves collecting a lot of information by using techniques such as questionnaires and other forms of survey. Qualitative research involves working with smaller samples of consumers, often asking them to discuss products and services, while researchers take notes about what they have to say. This course provides an introduction to the history and development of the British legal system. It aims to describe the evolution of the common law of England, the legal system of England, and the legal profession of England, and to introduce you to the study of constitutions as law, and to legal aspects of constitutional systems of government. 在这儿结束啊。This course provides an introduction to the history and development of the British legal system. It aims to describe the evolution of the common law of England, the legal system of England, and the legal profession of England, and to introduce you to the study of constitutions as law and to legal aspects of constitutional systems of government. This is an extremely useful resource which ranks books and academic papers on the subject not only in terms of their reliability, but also their readability. As a result, it is likely to save students time and effort that would otherwise have been spent working through a lot of dense texts before finding the one they really need. This is an extremely useful resource which ranks books and academic papers on the subject not only in terms of their reliability but also their readability. As a result, it is likely to save students time and effort that would otherwise have been spent working through a lot of dense texts before finding the one they really need. Closer activities allow participants to consolidate learning. Say goodbye to group mates, and attend to any unfinished business prior to the ending of the group experience. Generally, these activities involve some reflection upon what has been learned or accomplished during the preceding time together, and the sharing of those thoughts or insights with other participants. Closer activities allow participants to consolidate learning, say goodbye to group mates, and attend to any unfinished business prior to the ending of the group experience. Generally, these activities involve some reflection upon what has been learned or accomplished during the preceding time together, and the sharing of those thoughts or insights with other participants. Thus, language acquisition might be like other biological functions. The linguistic clumsiness of tourists and students might be the price we pay for the linguistic genius we display as babies, just as the decrepitude of age is the price we pay for the vigor of youth, just as the decrepitude of age. Okay, that's language acquisition. Thus, language acquisition might be like other biological functions. The linguistic clumsiness of tourists and students might be the price we pay for the linguistic genius we displayed as babies, just as the decrepitude of age is the price we pay for the vigor of youth.
I look forward to meeting you and to helping you realize your goals.
I look forward to meeting you and helping you realize your goals.
Read the fitness center instructions before attempting to use the equipment.
Read the fitness center instructions before attempting to use the equipment.
The books are filled with drawings of machines he invented when he was a student.
The books are filled with drawings of machines invented when he was a student.
Financial support can be offered to help pay your fees and other costs.
Financial support can be offered to help you pay your fees and other costs.
It is necessary to solve the equation to determine the unknown variable.
It is necessary to solve the equation to determine the unknown variable.
The book is informative, but it could be accused of political bias.
The book is informative, but it could be accused of political bias.
During an official ceremony, a memorandum of understanding was signed by the academic dean.
During an official ceremony, a memorandum of understanding was signed by the academic dean.
Our tutorial will take place on the second floor in room 1.
Our tutorial will take place on the second floor in room 1.
The library offers group study rooms so you can work with other students.
The library offers group study rooms so you can work with other students.
Proficiency in a foreign language may be demonstrated by assessment.
Proficiency in a foreign language may be demonstrated by an assessment. The bar graph shows information about average rainfall in inches based on different factors, including New York, Dallas, Phoenix, and Honolulu. For New York, we can see 47 inches, which is the highest figure. For Dallas, we can see 33, which is the second highest figure. For Phoenix, by contrast, we can see 7 inches, which is the smallest figure. If we look at Honolulu, we can see 22 inches, which is higher than Phoenix. Overall, we can see different cities have different value and average rainfall in inches, which is hard to predict in the future. The diagram shows the process of based on four steps. Which are in factories. If you look at the second step, you can see retailers. The diagram shows the process of recycling based on four steps, including manufacturers, retailers, consumers, and recyclers. If we look at the first step, we can see the manufacturers, which is in factory. If we look at the second step, we can see retailers, which are in supermarkets. If we look at the third step, we can see consumers, which are at home. If we look at the final step, we can see the recyclers, which is about recycling. Overall, we can see the arrow shows the direction of the process. This diagram can help us have a better understanding of the recycling process. Markdowns. Saved, recycled, and thrown away. For saved and recycled, the largest figure can be found in food and drink manufacture. The bar graph shows the amount of the food wasted per year in the UK based on various factors, including markdown, saved, recycled, and thrown away. For saved and recycled, the largest figure can be found in food and drink manufacturers, which is around 2. But the smallest figure is in the hospitality sectors and instructions, which is around 0. By contrast, if you look at thrown away, the highest figure can be found in private household, which is around 8. But the smallest figure is in distribution and retail companies, which is around 0.5. Overall, we can see the value of the thrown away is higher than others, which is hard to predict in the future. Information about the life cycle of a frog based on various factors, including eggs, embryo, tadpole, and frog. First step, you can see eggs with a black color. Second step, next step. The diagram shows the information about life cycle of a frog based on various factors, including eggs, embryo, tadpole, and frog. If we look at the first step, we can see eggs, which are black color. If we look at the second step, we can see the embryo, which is bigger than eggs. If we look at the next step, we can see tadpole, which is very small. If we look at the middle step, we can see tadpole with 2 legs and tadpole with 4 legs, which is in green color. If we look at the final step, we can see an adult frog, which is green color as well. Overall, the arrow shows the direction of the process. Percentage of students aged from 5 to 17 who were taught at home in the USA, based on various factors including 1999, 2003, 2007, and 2012. For 2012, we can see. The bar graph shows information about percentage of students aged from 5 to 17 who were taught at home in the USA, based on various factors including 1999, 2003, 2007, and 2012. For 2012, we can see 3.4%, which is the largest figure. For 2007, we can see 2.9%, which is the second largest figure. By contrast, for 1999, we can see 1.7%, which is the smallest figure. If we look at 2003, we can see 2.2%, which is the higher than 1999. Overall, we can see there is an increasing trend over this period, which is hard to predict in the future. What else? Percentage of students from disadvantaged backgrounds entering university in England from 2006 to 2014, okay, including 2008, 2009, 2010. So 2006. The line graph shows information about percentage of students from disadvantaged backgrounds entering university in England from 2006 to 2014, including 2008, 2009, and 2010. For 2006 and 2007, we can see it increased slightly, which is from 10% to 12%. By contrast, for 2012, 2013, and 2014, we can see it increased rapidly, and the peak value is around 20%. Overall, we can see there is an increasing trend over this period. It is hard to predict in the future because it is about a 60% increase.
So let me begin with the notion of a dimension. The dimension is simply how many numbers that you need to specify a location. So if we think about the surface of the Earth, the equator is one-dimensional. You need to specify only one number to specify a location on the equator, namely the longitude. The surface of the Earth altogether is, of course, two-dimensional. You need to specify two numbers, the latitude and longitude, to specify a location on the Earth. The space above the Earth is three-dimensional. If I want to tell you the location of a hang glider, I need to give you the latitude, longitude, and altitude. But mathematically, there's no reason to stop at three dimensions. A four-dimensional space is simply a space in which you need to specify four numbers to specify a location in that space. A five-dimensional space would be one in which you need to specify five numbers, etc. In fact, I claim you already know an example of a four-dimensional space. So let's define an event just to be an occurrence that happens in a small region of space at a definite time. In other words, an event is like a snap of your fingers or a clap of your hands. And now the collection of all events, if I want to specify an event, I need to give you four numbers. I need to tell you where it happens in space and when it happens in time.
This lecture is about the notion of dimension, including the numbers you need to specify a location. It is about the equator, including one dimension, one number, and longitude. This lecture is about the surface of the Earth, including two dimensions, two numbers, latitude, longitude. It is also about three dimensions, including three numbers, latitude, longitude, and altitude. This lecture is also about four dimensions, including four numbers and time. It is about collections, events, figures, as well as when and where the event will happen. Overall, we should focus on the notion of dimension because it can bring a lot of benefits.
The first results on the Welsh language were reported in March 2003. The census found that there were 576,000 Welsh speakers aged 3 and over, or 21% of the population, which represents a 2% increase since 1991. The proportion of people in Wales aged 3 and over who can speak, read and write Welsh increased from 13.6% to 16.3% over the period 1991 to 2001. A further 138,000, or 5% of the population, said they understood Welsh, but did not speak it. In addition, 84,000 gave a combination of positive responses that was imprecise, making it difficult to work out whether they could understand, speak, read, or write Welsh. The growth in the number of Welsh speakers has occurred largely in the south and east of the country.
This lecture is about Welsh speakers in 2003 report. It is about a 2% increase of population in 1991. This lecture is about a proportion of people who can read and write the Welsh language. It is about increasing from 1999 to 2001. This lecture is about 5% population who don't speak the Welsh language. It is about a positive response which is precise. The lecture is about the large number of people occurred in the southeast countries. Overall, we should focus on the Welsh language because it can bring a lot of benefits. This lecture is about the total number of speakers.
The most visible manifestation of this wealth was a series of grand projects that were begun by Napoleon III, mainly in Paris, soon after he came to power in the 1850s. He said, "I want to be a second Augustus," making reference to the Emperor Augustus's claim that he found Rome a city of brick and left it one of marble. In the case of Napoleon III, he found Paris in 1851 a city of cobblestones and twisting medieval streets, and he left it one of asphalt and macadam, because what he began doing was bulldozing old Paris, the ancient medieval part of Paris, and replacing it with wide new boulevards, 85 miles of them, that he lit with some 20,000 gas lamps, which he took out all the old 18th century oil lamps, replaced them with gas, which gave a much cleaner, brighter, regular light. Also 50,000 trees were planted alongside them, many of them the chestnut trees that we now think of as synonymous with Paris. And he drained the streets with 200 miles of sewers, these new famous Parisian sewers beneath the streets, thereby making the city a much more safer, pleasant place to wander, to stroll, to people watch, to have coffee or absinthe in the cafes.
This lecture is about a visible manifestation. It is about the grand projects and Napoleon III in 1850s. It is about the second Augustus. This lecture is also about the twisting medieval streets, the wide new boulevards. It is about 19 miles. It is about giving cleaner and brighter lights to Paris. This lecture is about some trees planted in Paris, including 200 miles of silver. It is also about making Paris a safer place to live, including having coffees in cafes. Overall, we should focus on the visible manifestation because it can bring a lot of benefits.
How many years are in a decade?
10 years. 10 years. 10 years.
What do you use to identify yourself when you arrive in a foreign country?
Passport. Passport. Passport.
What do you press when you arrive at someone's front door?
Doorbell. Door ring. Doorbell. Door ring.
In which academic field do people study things that happened in the past?
History. 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 History.
What is the occupational title for the composer of a novel?
Novelist. Novelist. Novelist.
What do you call a person who is receiving care in a hospital?
Patient. Patient. Patience.
The terms circumference, diameter, and radius refer most commonly to which geometric shape?
Circle. Circle. Circle.
What do you call a person who trains a team of athletes?
Coach. Instructor. Trainer. Coach.
To find a detailed topographical map of Africa, What kind of reference book would be best to use?
Atlas, map, atlas, map.
What is the term for an extended speech by one person in a play?
Monologue, monologue. Encore, anchor, anchor, monologue.